The Talkin Niners Podcast with Toby and Sam, live right now.
Talkin Niners Podcast, ready to go, raring to go. Niners back from their bye week. I am your host, Kobe Ransom. This podcast is on the Blue Wire Hustle Network. And I'm joined by the man who goes to Syracuse University, Niner Wire Sam. Sam, what's going on, man, on this, what's today, Wednesday? Hump Day. Fantastic.
Fine Wednesday. It is Wacky Wednesday. Feels great, man. Niners back this week after the week off. Nice to get a week off. Nice little breather. Just take care of myself, do all that. But we are back this week. Football is back for the 49ers. I am very excited about it. Lots of stuff going on today. Lots of stuff been going on this past few weeks. We're going up to this Sunday night battle against the Indianapolis Colts. Ready to talk about it, break it down right here, right now. Let's do it.
So let's start with what is going to be the Deforest Buckner revenge game, reunion game, maybe revenge, I guess. I don't know the way this thing unfolded. He talked with the 49ers media today, and some quotes came out, and one was that he was, just paraphrasing here, but he was willing to take less money to, remain with the team, and they were unable to meet in the middle at that point, and they asked him if he had got offered anything close to the contract he got offered from the Colts. Which, since they traded him, I think it's not too surprising to say that he didn't get any, offer anything close to that. But yeah, so DeForest Buckner had some things to say. He was, telling his side of the story. We already heard the Niners side of the story, which you kind of figured there was something, that was people already didn't like the trade at first. When it first happened, some people were disagree with it a little bit at that time. So those quotes coming out today, it's hindsight. It happened a while ago. It doesn't really make a difference today, as far as what they can do about it. But it's just interesting to hear. And, at first I was like, man, they couldn't, retain this guy. And he had another quote saying, like, other front offices make it work. And, this front office, we just couldn't get it done.
I'm pretty sure Jimmy Ward said that quote.
Yeah.
Not DeForest Buckner.
Yeah, like he said it, but like he brought it up while he's been injured, saying like that, he was kind of with Ward there. It's like, other teams, find a way to like make it work cap wise, but the Niners just couldn't find a way to get it done. Nonetheless, it was it's got Niners Twitter, they've been on one for a while now, but it got things a little rowdy in the timeline just hearing those quotes come out. But nonetheless, that's where we start with this. My thoughts on it. It happened. It passed. I had the tweet, saying they couldn't, they tried to lowball the man and they couldn't offer anywhere close what the Colts offering them. And I was, kind of in the moment kind of thing. But looking back, they just couldn't find a way to make it work cap wise. So it doesn't surprise me they couldn't offer them that kind of money, because if they could, they probably would have done it. But then instead, they tried to make the best out of it. They traded away Buckner. We got the 12th pick. They traded back and ended up getting Kinlaw. And they traded up and got Ayuk. And that's how that draft went. Defense is still pretty good, even without Buckner here. So it's not like the defense is falling apart with Buckner gone. So we can't sit here and act like the Niners made a mistake, because if they did, you can't really see it too much. Defense has still been good. It just sucks because, he was a fan favorite and, he's a great guy. And we thought that maybe he'd be a long-time Niner, but it just only made it past his rookie contract. So it's just kind of unfortunate, but I don't have a problem with it at this point in time.
Yeah, I think the only reason it's really a problem is for two reasons. First of all, you chose Eric Armstead over DeForest Buckner. And to say the least, Eric Armstead has not lived up to the money that he's been paid, whereas DeForest Buckner really has, in my opinion. I think I said this earlier. I think if you replace DeForest Buckner with Eric Armstead, the 49ers defense is going to be significantly better last year and this year too. I mean, I said like 2-game swing. Is that an over-exaggeration? Maybe. I don't really know. From last year. This year, I definitely think Eric Armstead, especially that week 3 game versus the Green Bay Packers, had a very poor game. And having DeForest Buckner in a game like that would have won that game for the 49ers. So overall, I definitely think that having Armstead over Buckner, it was definitely a mistake. Hindsight's 2020. I'm not saying that Armstead's a bad player. It's just that DeForest Buckner is on a different level from Eric Armstead. And the other reason is just Javon Kinlaw. I know he said, he's just been hurt. Shanahan just had his pressers, said something about his knee that didn't get me hopeful at all whatsoever. I forget what he said. But overall,
that's what they said. They've been trying to manage it.
Exactly. And they've been trying to manage his knee this entire year. And it's just been brutal, man. So I wish we kept DeForest Buckner over Eric Armstead. I mean, it makes sense why they traded him. He was going to be more expensive. The defensive tackle depth in the 2020 draft was far greater than the defensive end draft defensive end depth, excuse me. So, I mean, it makes sense, but at the end of the day, and you would have got more value for Buckner. I don't think Armstead's worth the 13th overall pick. But, I mean, the thing is, at the end of the day, the 49ers should have gone with DeForest Buckner. I'm not sweating it too much because, you know what? 49ers made a risky move. It backfired. But, I mean, talk about a bad week for 49ers PR with this. And then I actually didn't watch the Lynch interview with Matt Mayoko.
I probably should.
I heard things. I probably should have done that, but I just haven't had time. But I've heard that just did not go well whatsoever for Lynch. So, I mean, at the end of the day, and like Garoppolo, more like Garoppolo stuff over Lance stuff. It's just been a massive battle between those two. And we all know, I think most of the fans think that it's time for Trey Lance, whereas the team thinks it's Garoppolo time. So overall, it's just been a mess for 49ers PR. At the end of the day, it's probably just going to get straight to the side once week 7 happens, win or lose. Overall, I mean, the Buckner thing, it's not that big of a deal. It just sucks to hear.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate to hear. And speaking of the quarterbacks, and well, I mean, back to Buckner, it's not unfortunate to hear. It's just you wish that he could have stuck around and everything. They could have kept him. And
I think the unfortunate part is how they lowballed him, and like he was such a crucial part to this team.
Yeah,
you just gotta feel bad for the guy. I mean, he wanted to be here. The Niners wanted him to be here, yet the Niners didn't. They wanted him to be here, yet they didn't want to be here. If that makes any sense. Yeah, just a sticky situation.
But for the quarterbacks, that Trey he didn't practice on Monday. They had an extra practice on Monday. He didn't practice then. He's not practicing today, and the Wednesday practice. We'll see how that kind of trends, throughout the week. But seems as if it's gonna, 100% be Jimmy Garoppolo playing on Sunday, as long as he doesn't get, any unfortunate occurrences with the calf throughout the practice week. But I don't think he should. He should be okay. So Jimmy Garoppolo back as starting quarterback for this team, which the Niners, throughout the whole process said he would still, remain the starter whenever he got back. And, whether he would still start if Trey was healthy or not, we have no idea. We'll never know. But it seems as if, obviously, he will be the starting quarterback for the Niners on Sunday. We'll get more into that a little bit later. Just wanted to put that out there just on the forefront. But the next topic is just about overall just the fans and just the media and just the mood around this team is obviously like this team is like just needs to, at least with this bye week things. I thought the bye week could be like a time for like us to not talk about anything, but that didn't happen. We ended up talking about a bunch of other things, and we're at the point now where people want Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch gone. Trey Lance starting the rest of the season, which that doesn't seem like a crazy thing to do, but that's the Jimmy versus Trey thing still goes on, but we'll see how that turns out. But people were wanting to blow it up and just saying that this front office is a failure and this season's done. And is that all a bit panicky? Is that all a bit a little overreactionary kind of material? Is everyone panicking for no reason? I think it's way too early to be having these kind of thoughts about the season. We've played 5 games. We're 6 weeks into a season. We got 12 games left. We're 2-3. We lost the last 3 games by 1 score. I know you're probably going to agree with me, but it's way too early to have this kind of just like the sky is falling, everything sucks, just this team's going nowhere kind of feeling around the team. I know it hasn't looked pretty through the first 5 weeks, but there's a lot of time for them to turn this around. And let's see how they come back from the bye week first before we start to, to dig this team's grave or put this year to bed. There's still a lot to play for. The Niners are still very much in the playoff race. They're a half game out of the 7th seed. The Vikings are 3-3. The Niners are 2-3. So, pretty self-explanatory. This season's far from over. The playoffs are still very much a possibility, and it's still, you can still expect this team to make the playoffs. I don't know why the fan base is acting like this team has no shot to win another game this season.
Yeah, you know why they don't think this team doesn't have a shot to win this game is because it's a bye week and there's nothing to talk about for the 49ers. So you gotta have something to talk about. That's what people just overreact. It happens with every team almost every year. So this is an overreaction. I think I don't really need to go too much into this. We're 5 games into the season. We're 2-3. We've lost 2. The Seattle loss, I will say, is the only bad loss so far. I think we should have won that game. I think keeping Garoppolo, I mean, Garoppolo the defense played so well in the first half, and Garoppolo just did not do anything. And that was really like, I've had it with Jimmy Garoppolo. It's time for Trey Lance. I know we say that every week, but I think that's like truly the moment where I realize it's Trey Lance time. He needs to go in this game right now. And he did, but the defense kind of collapsed second half. I think that was a pretty bad loss to Seattle. Now, the Packers and the Cardinals games, those are the other two losses. The Cardinals are the best team in football, and Green Bay is still a top team in the NFL. And we kept that game really close with Green Bay, too. So at the end of the day, I think the losses are overreaction. The wins, you beat Detroit barely. That was just Shanahan getting too cute. That I can understand why people are upset at Shanahan for that. And then you have Philly, which I think Philly's honestly been okay this year. They gave Tampa a pretty good challenge. Tampa's one of, if not the best team in the NFC right now. So at the end of the day, I definitely think that it's definitely an overreaction. I think there's still a lot of hope. You're 5 games in the season. You have 11 more games to go, something like that. 12 more games, something like that. So, you just got to be patient. And this is something that this is the one thing I hate about 49ers Twitter is that there's zero tolerance for patience on 49ers Twitter. So, everyone just breathe with me right now. Take a deep breath in and out. We'll be fine. The 49ers will be on the right track soon enough.
Here's the thing. Like, you can be upset with the state of the team, but at the same time, you don't have to go all the way to like, oh, this team isn't going anywhere. This team's done. Like, there's no playoffs, no nothing. We're not winning another game. Like, you can be critical of the team and what's happened so far, but you don't have to go all the way to the point where this team isn't going to do anything good the rest of the year. Like, it's way too early to make that claim. We don't need to fire people right now.
I will say, we don't need to fire anyone. We do need change with the players. So, in particular, quarterback. I've talked about quarterback enough on the stream. We're 12 minutes in, so I don't need to go into that more. Wide receiver.
We will get into it more when he gets here.
We'll get more into it. I'm not done talking about quarterback, but I'm going to save that for later. Wide receiver. Let's get Brandon Ayuk some more reps. Let's get Trent Sherfield some more reps. What happened to them? They had great connections with the guy who I want at quarterback, Trey Lance. Let's get those guys in more, working with Lance. Let's do that. And then cornerback. Where's Deommodore Lenoir at? Why is he falling off? He had such a great first 2 weeks, and then they did not play him. And a great preseason and training camp for that matter. Let's get those 3 guys in. Let's go. Let's get these guys in. Let's play the best players you can to win. Not be too conservative. Not be like, oh, this guy's too raw to be in the game. When Trey Lance looked great against Arizona. Deommodore Lenoir was the guy who looked great against Philly. Looked great against Detroit. Brandon Ayuk was a first-round pick last year, one of the best receivers in the draft in 2020, looking at 2020. And now you're looking at the Cowboys with CeeDee Lamb. Everyone's saying Ayuk's a bust. They should have taken CeeDee Lamb at 13 and got Trayvon Diggs at 31.
Yeah,
let's get these guys in. Let's prove them wrong.
Before we say that?
What?
Like, can we see Ayuk get the ball first before we say that?
Exactly.
Ayuk's a bust. Like, getting the ball.
And let me pull up this tweet. I retweeted yesterday that I remember. It's from Javier Vega. Let me pull this up if I can really quickly. Okay. Brandon Ayuk, 1.7. I think it's separation. I don't know what that stat is. Okay. 8 catches, 90 yards, 1 touchdown, 50 targets. Allen Robinson
stat?
Yeah, the separation stat.
Yeah, that's how much separation.
He basically. I'm not going to read the whole thing. So, okay, yeah, so this is a separation stat. So it's not a separation issue, it's a target issue. And Javi just basically describes, he goes through Brandon Ayuk, Allen Robinson, and Jamar Chase through the start of the season. I know Allen Robinson's having a pretty down year. Jamar Chase is lighting up the league. And, you look at the targets, you look at how much, you look at the targets and the catches and what their production is. And it looks like Brandon Ayuk, when you compare that all together, like look at the averages, he's better than all 3 of those guys from what it seems like. I haven't calculated the averages, but just by looking at that, it looks like they're right there on track with both Allen Robinson, better than Allen Robinson.
I think
much
what
better
Javi's trying to say with that tweet is like, separation isn't the issue. You just got to give him the ball.
Exactly.
Like,
that's
there,
what
there are other guys who had the same separation, kind of average, but they're still making a lot of plays. Like,
yeah, that's where I'm getting at.
And also, like a yard, that's almost 2 yard separation. Like, that's still separation. Like, that's still like pretty open. So, it's not like he's like not getting open at all. He's still getting open. It's just not getting the ball. And also, he's running clear out routes too. That's not helping. So,
and you know what? Now that I look at it, now that I think of it, maybe that separation. Why he's not getting the ball, maybe that separation is too little for a guy like Jimmy Garoppolo, a guy who's less accurate than Trey Lance. Trey Lance looked good with Brandon Ayuk in camp.
Yes, I mean, maybe
I said this. I said the
throws.
same thing last week. I think this could be a Garoppolo issue as to why Brandon Ayuk's not getting in, and the team is just. I'm not going to say the team's nose blind to it, but just from what I've heard, just from what I've seen, the team could be nose blind from the fact that this is a Jimmy Garoppolo issue and not a Brandon Ayuk issue.
Yeah, I mean, only time will tell. We'll see. But even still, even if it's not like routes downfield, he has not a single target, catch, or whatever behind the line of scrimmage. Like we saw a bunch of that, and we said this in the last podcast episode too. But like, just find ways to get like Kyle. When he wants to get somebody the ball, he will get them the ball. Like no matter how he has to do it, and we've seen that whether it be like a handoff, end around, tunnel screen, anything. Like none of that's been called for Ayuk. There's something else that Ayuk isn't doing that they're not happy with. First he was injured, and now it's like he hadn't taken the next step. Like it's a really weird situation. But yeah, we've been saying it for the past since week 1. You know, get Ayuk the ball because he's a playmaker, and this offense needs some help, and you're just not in a position to not get your best players the ball and your most talented players the ball, and that's what's happening so far. We'll see if that changes out of the bye week, but. Yeah, that's the big thing about Ayuk because he's not. It's not like he's like terrible on the field. Like he's still getting open. He's still able to make plays, even when he does. You know, the few times he has got the ball thrown his way, he's made some great plays. So it's just about getting him the ball more often. I know Debo's been working, but without Kittle, you kind of have to get somebody else going too, and that guy should be Ayuk.
Should be. I mean, you have Debo. Debo's killing it. I mean, you got to keep him the ball, Debo, but you can't just rely on Deebo Samuel to do everything for your team. You need to have more than one guy at receiver. That's why we took Ayuk in the first place. We just had Deebo Samuel. Going into 2020, it was just Deebo Samuel. Then they got Ayuk. And look how much better that team was. No Kittle for a while. You got to get some weapon. And Mohamed Sanu, if you want to give the ball to Mohamed Sanu, go ahead. He's been decent this year. But is he on Brandon Ayuk? Is he on Brandon Ayuk's level? Probably not. They got to feed Ayuk, man. It's that simple.
Yeah, so let's move on to the next topic. I was trying to drink some water, then you stopped, so you messed me up there. It's all good. Let's go to the next topic. Let's talk about the quarterbacks for a little bit. This Jimmy thing, I know some people are saying, maybe Jimmy's only playing because Trey's hurt or this, that, and third. I think they legit want to play Jimmy Garoppolo as a starter. I know we've already had our talks about, just what we feel about that, and we all feel that Trey should be getting the snaps from here on out. He didn't look bad. He actually looked pretty solid in his first start, considering the circumstances. But if Jimmy is going to remain quarterback 1 going forward, it's only a problem if they lose all the time. Like if they win games, sure, it's fine. Trey doesn't have to play to get better. You can. Trey can still improve, and the quarterbacks have said they've improved by having time to sit down and learn. And it seems as if. Even if Trey went out there and handled it well, Kyle and the team don't seem ready to help Trey Lance. And for a team that wants to win, Jimmy does give them the best option. But it only works if they're winning. So obviously, if Jimmy plays and they win the next 2 games, and Jimmy keeps going forward, and if you lose, you probably still keep going. Like you're still, as long as team's in the playoff hunt and Jimmy's not playing terribly, then I feel like Jimmy will remain the starter. And as long as they make the playoffs, then it's not. A wrong decision. But if they start losing games and the season is on the brink of being, a failure, then at that point you got to put Trey in and at least make something at the end of it if you fall out of the playoff race. But for as long as this team is winning games in the playoff race, I think it's okay to play Jimmy Garoppolo. The way that Trey looked on the field, the way they called the game, and the way the team looked around him, I would say that this team didn't really play well around him, and that had a lot to do with the fact that they weren't planning on him being the starter this year. So if Jimmy starts, team offense has to get moving, and they got to win games. So if they're not doing that, then what exactly are you doing? And that's
your audio cut out. Is that a me problem? No, you're good.
Okay.
So I think that was a me problem. Something just happened. I don't know, but
okay. But yeah, I was basically just saying, I don't have a problem with Jimmy playing, this season. If you're going to start Jimmy, then this offense needs to get it right. because the offense continues to struggle with Jimmy starting. They need to make a change. So,
I mean, not only
offense
do
has
they
to
need
pick
it,
up.
not only do they need to get it right, they need to make sure that Jimmy Garoppolo is better than Trey Lance on the field. And they'll probably be able to see that in practice. But at the end of the day, I definitely think that Trey Lance should be the starting quarterback. And overall, I mean, you look at the two quarterbacks. If Trey Lance is hurt this week, I think you should start Garoppolo. I think that's a given. Week 8 is where it's going to get interesting because both of the quarterbacks should be fine by week 8. So at the end of the day, the 49ers, it's going to be a difficult quarterback decision right there. But I think looking at this week 7 matchup, if Trey Lance is not ready to go, then I think you've got to if Trey Lance is not ready to go, then you put Garoppolo in. But if he's close to going and he's not like 100%, I think the best idea for the 49ers would be to bench Trey Lance in favor of Garoppolo, but not deactivate Trey Lance. Just make sure if Jimmy Garoppolo is struggling, give Trey Lance a shot. Because, I mean, right now, looking at how the 49ers have played with Jimmy Garoppolo, I mean, he's just done. The Seahawks game was terrible. The Packers game was terrible. Eagles was pretty bad too. The Lions game is his only good game this entire year. That's an issue. So you got to make sure that Trey Lance is ready to go. Or you got to make sure that Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be the better option. You got to make sure that Jimmy Garoppolo is going to win you games.
Yeah, it's more about like it's easy to talk about the quarterbacks just like individually. Like obviously Trey is a much more talented quarterback than Jimmy Garoppolo, and watching his first game, it feels like he's ready to play. He's not going to be perfect, but neither is Jimmy, so he's ready to play. But the play calling, I didn't like a whole lot. I feel like they changed their entire offense to play with Trey and really just and the confidence. I know we talked a lot about Kyle having confidence in his quarterbacks to go out there and execute certain things. It felt like Kyle didn't have a whole lot of confidence in Trey to really run their normal pass concepts. I feel like maybe I'm wrong on that, but just from just the perception issue or just the perception of it, the way I saw it, it feels like Kyle wasn't comfortable calling the game he would normally call with Trey Lance. And if that's the case, then maybe I am okay with Jimmy playing, because if Kyle's going to limit himself with Trey out there, Jimmy has a better. He's a better fit for this current team in the way that they call their offense and just the way they like to do things in offense. And if that's the case, sure, go ahead with Jimmy. But you at the same time, obviously you're playing Jimmy to win games. So if you're not winning games, like if you lose, I feel like if you split these next 2 games, with 2 winnable guys, I think you got to go back to Trey Lance at that point. But if you win both, then I think you continue on with Jimmy. I think it'll be fine.
Yeah, ride the hot hand. That's exactly what they do with their running backs. I know I've been advocating for Trey Lance, but if Jimmy Garoppolo is playing well, I think you got to stick with Jimmy Garoppolo. You got to give whoever's going to give this team the best chance to win, you put in the game. It doesn't really matter if it's Jimmy Garoppolo. It doesn't matter if it's Trey Lance. It doesn't even matter if it's Nate Sudfeld. You put whatever quarterback's going to give you the best chance to win the game.
Yeah. All right. Let's get into...
And that goes for any position, too, really quickly. It goes for Brandon Ayuk, Deommodore Lenoir. I think those 2 are guys that are going to give the team the best chance to win. But if the 49ers think otherwise, they think it's going to be Sanu and Josh Norman, then go ahead. Put those 2 guys in.
Yeah. I mean, just getting a chance to see Trey Lance finally play and kind of a chance to see it in action, it kind of just changed my perception of the situation. Obviously, there's a bunch of little things that, because we don't know as much as coaches and football players. We just kind of give our opinions and everything. But I'm sure there's a lot of little things that they aren't comfortable with Trey Lance, to do the things that they need to do to win these football games. That's why they probably ran him so much, because that was the best. That's like the most reliable thing you have with Trey, is he's going to get yards with his legs. And if that's how they're going to call games the entire season, I would much rather than just play Jimmy. If they're going to call it, the regular offense with Jimmy, and they're going to do that kind of quarterback run heavy offense with Trey, I'd rather him, not play until they're ready to give him the full game plan, in a game. So that's just my selfish kind of take on what happened between, what's going on between the 2 quarterbacks. All right, moving on to the game that is on Sunday game between two win teams. The Colts have looked better as of late, and obviously we know the Niners have their issues on offense, but the Colts defense isn't great. Their offense has been okay the last 2 weeks. They're starting to get better, the last 2 weeks. They almost beat the Ravens, who look great so far this season. And they dismantled the Texans, who aren't great. So, we have a team coming in that is starting to figure it out, and the Niners need to figure it out. So it could be an interesting kind of Sunday matchup. I think it's supposed to rain as well on Sunday. So that could, I don't know how much that will alter how the game plays out, but it could be a factor. I think the Niners should be able to win this game, though. The Colts don't look like the Colts are not the last 3 teams the Niners have played. Carson Wentz, he's been fine, but also he's been times where he's looked bad, to start the season. So Niners defense has been great through the first 5 weeks. They're still a top 10 unit. You can rely on them. D'Amico Ryans has done a great job so far, and they're getting K'Wan Williams back too, so that should help out in terms of the slot. You can get Dante Johnson off the field finally, and you'll have Josh Norman obviously opposite of Mosley, and they've played well at time. Mosley's been playing really well, and Norman's had his moments, but just, as far as going into this game, it seemed like it's a very winnable game, obviously, for the Niners. And I think, obviously, even if Jimmy is playing, they should be able to get it going. It's just, how do they fix are they more, in sync and more disciplined on offense? Are they, shooting themselves in the foot too much, or are they finally, getting things going? Can they get the run game going, get the play action game going? Obviously, no Kittle, but, can we get Ayuk the ball? That's the big thing. Is can this offense capitalize on some plays their defense is going to make? Because so far that's been the issue, is the offense. That was the issue going into the bye week, and we'll see if Kyle has figured it out, and the guys have figured it out as far as game planning, and just finding a way to move the ball more consistently in scoring on offense. And that's where the deciding factor in this game is, can this offense finally get going for the Niners? Because otherwise, there isn't a reason they should lose this game.
Yeah, I mean, the game plan is going to be interesting for the 49ers. The Colts defense has not done too well this year compared to last year. It's just been a mixed bag for the Indianapolis Colts. They're right now, what are they? They're 2-4, I think.
Yeah, they're 2-4. So yeah.
With wins over Miami and Houston. So this is definitely a winnable game for the San Francisco 49ers. The Colts they have talent. Don't get me wrong. They do have talent on the defensive side. We've talked about Buckner enough. They have Darius Leonard. On the offensive side, Carson Wentz has looked great ever since that week start. I mean, Indy, he looked pretty good. Oh, sorry, no. Miami, he looked pretty good. Also looked great against the who did they play last week? The Houston Texans. So, I mean, the offensive line, Quentin Nelson's on his way back, so that could be a good thing for the Indianapolis Colts. So it's definitely a good matchup for the 49ers to have. Now, I think, yeah, as you said, Kobe, the offensive game plan is going to be interesting. I think the weather is going to play a big factor into this. Not only is it raining on Sunday, apparently it's been raining this entire week in the Bay Area. So it's going to be a wet field. So I think you're going to see a lot of run game. I think the run game is really going to control the game. And that's why I think if Trey Lance is ready to go, you should put him in, because he's the more mobile quarterback. He's going to open up the run game a bit more. And I want to, even Carson Wentz last year on Sunday Night Football, when he was on the Eagles, he opened up the run game really well for the Philadelphia Eagles himself. We don't really think of Carson Wentz as a mobile quarterback, but he opened up the run game really well, and it was really hard for us to stop him. And on the other side for the Indianapolis Colts, Jonathan Taylor, I don't know if you saw this, Kobe, but Fred Warner was just at the presser like 15 minutes ago talking about who is the toughest running back you ever had to face in college. He said Jonathan Taylor. So Jonathan Taylor, I mean, he's been having a fantastic year for the Indianapolis Colts as well. He's going to give us some challenges, I definitely think. So stopping him is going to be that's definitely going to be a big task for us. I feel like we've done pretty well at stopping the run this year, really, actually. I mean, you look at Kyler Murray did not do much against us. Aaron Jones didn't do too much against us from what I remember. Neither did a guy like Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson was all right, but I know Alex Collins had like a touchdown or two. There weren't any like big plays or anything. But overall, the run game, we've been pretty good on run D, and I think we can keep that up against a guy like Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor is definitely the best running back we've faced all season long. So it's going to be interesting to see how we do against a guy like him. Now, as for us in our running game, if Garoppolo starts, you're not going to see much running from the quarterback, but you're obviously going to see some run game from, I think, Elijah Mitchell. Elijah Mitchell has been back. You have Sermon might get some reps. JaMychal Hasty, his practice window open. So maybe you might have a full healthy running back squad minus Raheem Mostert, obviously, this week, which would be pretty good for the 49ers. So overall, I think the run game is really going to control this game. I don't expect the 49ers to use the pass game much if Garoppolo's starting. That could be really rough, in my opinion, but should be a low-scoring game and should be – I mean, it's going to be a defensive-heavy game that is driven by the run game, to say the least.
Yeah, it could be hopefully a game that kind of fits the Niners kind of mold, their kind of identity, which they don't have one right now. I guess that's the biggest thing. Can we have something to really excuse me, lean on in this game, for the Niners? Can they kind of form an identity coming out of this bye week? And that's really the big thing is we're going to be watching is the offense, seeing how they perform going forward, because it wasn't great going into the bye. You're just hoping that they can get it going. But the Indianapolis defense, their pass defense is more vulnerable than their run defense. They're both not that great. The defense isn't that great, but we all know how the Niners passing game is. It hasn't been great, so far. So we'll just see how that plays out. It's definitely not a game where we really have to worry too much. Niners should definitely win this game. I wouldn't say they'll win it easily, but they should definitely be able to win this game. They'll be back in the throwbacks, so they'll look nice, but can they win while looking nice will be the question. Let's get into the last topic here. A little bit of a shorter show because we covered a lot in the previous episode. We're coming off the bye week. Unless you want to be a conspiracist, there's not a whole lot to talk about in terms of just where the team is at. But all right, let's do a scale of 1 to 10. How likely is it do you think the Niners make the playoffs this year?
Right now, I put it at a 5, and I think it's more so. It's not that the Niners have been struggling. It's more so who we're playing in the future and what our division is looking like. Right now, you have the Cardinals, who are the hottest team in football, one of the hottest teams in football right now. You have the Rams, who are also really good this year. So those are top two teams in the NFC, two of the top best teams in the NFC. So those are two wildcard spots out. That's a division spot, a wildcard spot. Now, I think the 49ers could definitely compete for a wildcard spot. They just got to change things around. I've talked about the changes. Let's get Lance in. Let's get Ayukin. Let's get Deommodore Lenoir in. You see, that's my one thing. I always say Deommodore Lenoir way too fast and always just mess up the pronunciation every time. But Deommodore Lenoir. I might just have to have some ASMR session on that.
Just call him Demo.
Demo. Okay. There you go. That's him. All right, but anyways, I think the 49ers need to make some changes. And you look at the upcoming schedule. You have Indy this week. That could be it'll be all right. Chicago, I think that's another winnable game. Then you got Arizona and LA. Those are the two games. You have to win at least one of those games, in my opinion. They're both at home. They're division opponents. You're 0-2 against the division right now. You got to win as many divisional games as you can. I know the Cardinals are going to be a rough challenge. So are the Rams. But the Niners have to win as many divisional games as they can this year. And I think those are two great opportunities to maybe snag a divisional game away from another team. So I think if the 49ers can figure it out, they'll make the playoffs. At the same time, it might be hard for them to figure it out where they're at right now. Shanahan's play calling has definitely concerned me. I know we were talking about this earlier, how people are overreacting like Shanahan gone. I understand why they want him gone. It's definitely too early. You can't fire Kyle Shanahan because he just drafted Trey Lance and he has a plan for him. But Shanahan's play calling has been very, very questionable and suspect so far. So if he's not going to make the changes, then the 49ers are not going to make the playoffs. So right now it's basically a 50-50 shot at making the playoffs, in my opinion, for the 49ers. It's not a dead season yet, but they need to improve.
It feels like we're back at square one.
It really does.
It's like,
we're just trying to figure out who this team is. I thought we knew it.
Defense will be fine, but offense, we have no idea what it's going to look like. So let's see. Let's see how it looks now the break. It's like week one for the second time. That's kind of what this is, except we kind of have an idea now of the teams and what they have going forward. So looking at the schedule here, and I forgot we're doing the scale to 1 to 10 thing. I think it's an 8. I'm a little. That's kind of high. That's
an optimistic take right there,
man. High, but I'm kind of confident. They lost the last 3 games by 1 score. They shot themselves in the foot numerous times. I think this team still has a very good chance to make the playoffs. They've got the Colts and Bears. Those are 2 games they should be able to win. The Cardinals, Rams, those are two tough games. Kind of hard to see how, but then again, they still played the Cardinals really well. They lost by one score, and we see how good the Cardinals look. We haven't seen them play the Rams yet. We'll see how that goes. Jaguars, that should be a winnable game. Vikings, it'll be a tough game, but it's not a game they can't win. The Seahawks, will Russell be back yet? We have no idea. The Bengals, another tough game, but it should be winnable. Falcons should be a win. Titans is a tough one. Texans should be. It's a lot of winnable games. Second half,
we better win the Texans game. I'm going to that game. I want my money's worth. Let's do it. Also, it's the Texans. They're about to trade Deshaun Watson to Miami. That's the report today.
Yeah.
So we better win that game. It's either going to be Davis Mills or Tua, and we have better quarterbacks than that.
Yeah, let me see. So let me count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 winnable games. Games that the Niners probably should win. Second half of this schedule means they'll be at least 10 wins, which should be hopefully enough for the last wild card spot. Even still, I think they probably win some divisional games too. So, I think they had a tough schedule. I think they don't have an identity right now, but I'm optimistic that Kyle Shanahan will figure it out. This team lost, even with all the issues we've had. They lost the last 3 games by 1 score. They lost to a last-second field goal to the Packers. The Seahawks game was a disaster. We don't know how it would have went if Jimmy was still starting in the second half. Maybe they would have been a little more. Maybe would have had a better start coming out of the half on offense. Maybe they could have changed the game a bit. Cardinals game, they lost by 1 score they had numerous times to win that game. And that's right now is the quote unquote best team in the league. So, I'm feeling a little better about this team than maybe most people are. I could get burned on that. I might be heartbroken at some point.
I don't think
that feeling, but
the thing for me, it's not the team, it's the play calling and who's in the game. I think right now, I think the reason why we're 2-3 and not better, I know I've been blaming Garoppolo a lot, but at the end of the day, I think this all circles back to Kyle Shanahan because he's just done not good of a job at play calling, in my opinion, this year.
But yeah, my overall, I'm pretty confident this team still makes the playoffs. They should be able to figure it out. Which is will they? But I think they will. And if they don't, then that's when you really have issues. So I'm saying they will figure it out because they should figure it out. Because if they don't, then we have bigger questions. So to predict they won't figure it out and then miss the playoffs is kind of a rough thing to do. Because that's assuming that Kyle doesn't know what he's doing and his team doesn't live up to their, the expectation. So that's my feeling on it. And that's pretty much all we've got for the show. Like I said,
lots of chaos, man.
Yeah, it's shorter one unless we want to complain about stuff.
Speaking of chaos, we can extend the show. Did you see Benjamin Albright's reporting that? So there was the Deshaun Watson rumor came out that Miami's interested in him.
Yeah.
And now they're saying Tua wouldn't go to Miami. Tua would go to Houston. He would either go to Washington or Denver. So this trade could be a crazy trade if it goes through.
Yeah. So we got Tua might be on the move. We got Deshaun. Oh yeah, because they're going to trade. They're probably going to require. Deshaun.
I guess Houston would be sticking with Davis Mills, which makes sense. They use a 3rd-round pick on him, and it's kind of already a loss.
Tyrod starts when he gets back or whatever. So we got Tua probably going to Denver, and then we've got Deshaun might be coming to Miami. And
then on the way back to Miami, you're probably going to have either. I would think so on the way back to Houston, you would probably have a guy like Noah Igbenogany or maybe Xavier Howard. It's going to be a chaotic trade. I know this is not Niners stuff, but you know what? It's chaos, and we love. Yeah. Who doesn't love chaos, man? Just crack the knuckles. My knuckles did not crack. That was really awkward, but
we're just trying to get.
You get the point.
Show, that's all. We're just trying to get to 40 minutes in the live. It's all good. All right, so. Before we get out of here, make sure you guys like and subscribe to the channels, both channels, all that good stuff. Make sure you follow the Talkin Niners Podcast on Instagram and Twitter. I forgot about IG. I haven't tweeted. I posted that one post on IG and I've been off.
You had one post, which I was shocked about. And then, of course, you did not keep up.
Yeah, IG is tough, man. I don't get on that IG enough to even really remember to post this thing on there. But yeah, it's there. For when I do post, you can follow it still. On Twitter, we do post. obviously the new episodes and any announcements or whatever, that's on the Talkin Niners Twitter. You can follow that at Talkin Niners Pod. Make sure you rate, review the podcast 5 stars if you can. If you cannot, and you're on a platform where you can't do that, just subscribe or follow the pod so you can get notified every time a new episode goes live. And make sure you follow us as well. I have a new Twitter handle. So it's Kobe Ransom YT because I'm a YouTuber now. So
full-time
YouTuber. Kinda. I got
give him a sub.
Time.
He's so close to 100 subs. Give it to him. Subscribe to me if you want.
I did the NBA Watch one. I got 3 last night. So hey, we're doing something right.
There you go.
And then follow Sam at Nowhere Sam. He's got his 400 subs. He's good. He doesn't need any more. I'm just playing. No, subscribe
to me if you want. Up to you.
But that will do it for us. I'm going to play the outro and then we will get out of here. As always, see you guys. Go Niners.
See ya.